it's all going now. Forget about it. It's one of the things, these things are something that you'll forget about pretty quickly, and it's good when you do. All right. Can we just get you all to just say your name, please? Just your full name.
Oh, my name's John Simon.
John?
I'm Vicky Reardon. Sue Dixon. Brenda Smith.
You don't have to worry about looking at the camera. I'm much better looking. It's about me. Okay, I'll go from the ladies first. Just tell me a little bit about why you're here.
Okay, I got interested in the flood meetings and that because I became very frustrated when we did have floods and not much was done afterwards, like to see how we could perhaps not prevent it, but do a little bit more to help ourselves. I'm still waiting.
Okay, so when was your last big event? What was
that, John?
2011.
Okay, 2011. Okay. 13 as well. Okay.
Yes, it was 13.
Alright. So what did it mean to you?
Well, we get isolated, and like that's fine. We're always fully prepared for that. But also, in a freak accident, the power went off in our streets. So we were 4 days without power and cut off. And like, hello, nobody said, "Are you all right down that street?"
Okay. Is it a pretty tight knit
No,
community?
we're a spread out community because of where we live along the riverbank.
Okay.
And I know other people down there had concerns too because they had children. So I just thought, well, hey, it's no good sitting here whinging. I'll go and see what can eventuate from that.
Okay. Your story?
Oh, well, I'm in the same predicament that Brenda and I decided to go to the first meeting at the Smithtown Hall, and it was quite a productive meeting then when it first happened. And yeah, it's just carried on from there, and it's been quite interesting to see how it all works, how much we can do for the community, how we can help the community. And these meetings that we have once a month or whenever we have them with Steve has been very productive, I think. I thoroughly enjoy it. And
He only charges you $5 each now, doesn't he, to come?
Yes.
Nothing more than that.
No.
oh, he gives us a feed. He's a good boy.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Well, we've been living in Smithtown for 30 odd years,
Okay.
over 30 years, and I don't remember how many floods we've had, but I know each one is very difficult to get over once you've had it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, we probably have a foot to a foot and a half of mud left in our backyard. It's a double block, and it means an awful lot of work for my husband, who is not getting any younger. Just trying to clean out double garage, get the mud out of the garage so you can get your car back into the garage. There's an awful lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. I know the fire brigade go around, and I know they're wonderful with helping people to hose out and all that type of thing. We have, in our particular area where we are at the end of Morton Avenue, we have the problem with no sewage. The sewage has a tendency to overflow. It comes up the toilet onto the floor, which is not very pleasant. And of course, coming to the meetings that I've been coming to, I've since learned you need to get some newspaper and put it in a stocking and jam it down the toilet before everything happens. That's all well and good. But for me, I would like to see the council or the government take more of a preventative measure rather than, okay, this is a flood area, you've got to get used to it, you've got to clean it up. That's all there is about it. I don't feel that's all there should be about it. I think that the government or the council or both, there should be proper measures put into place where a minimal amount of flooding. I don't believe that a foot or 2 feet of water in people's yards or in their homes is acceptable. Not in 2015, Yeah. 2015. I just don't believe that that is acceptable anymore. I think there needs to be more done on a preventative scale.
So you're talking about engineer type of...
Yes, I am. I'm not an engineer, I don't know. But there must be something that can be put into place that, I mean, I know the, all the, what are they called?
Flood levy?
The things they open.
Floodgates?
Gates, sorry. I know all the flooding, the floodgates. I know that's...
train seals and things.
I know that's all an integral part of it, but for me, I'd like to see something done with the levee banks at least to stop as much flooding as we possibly can, because I'm getting older, I can't get out there and, you know,
Do sandbags and all that
lift
stuff.
mud. Yes, sandbags, that's another thing too. Sandbags not so bad, but it's the mud, it's so heavy and it's slippery and it smells something terrible. And I just don't think people need to be going through that sort of situation in this day and age. That's what I feel, but I might be
I
wrong.
agree with you, Vicky.
Yeah, definitely.
John?
That's
I
all.
would just like to add to what Vicky says, possibly the easiest solution for you is to go and live on a hill.
Of course,
But
of course.
I would say too that possibly levee banks do not work in the long term because the banks get higher, the bottom of the river gets higher, and this was proved in China 5,000
This is
years ago.
because they won't dredge the river though, surely.
Well, it's a money thing, but I can say to you there has been a move to build a dam on the upper Macleay to catch floodwater
Oh,
to
okay.
try and, but it's probably a long way down the track. It depends on the politicians.
I'll probably
The
be dead and
government.
buried by the time that happens.
I just think, John, it's very frustrating because, like in that last big flood we had, I went out and I took photos and I emailed them to the council, and I got this letter. Well, you know, it sounded like I was a 2-year-old, told me that if you know you cannot fix the whole riverbank, you know that, but why can they not concentrate on parts that do flood, which isolate people? Because it's not the whole town that's isolated, it's just in areas. And I have
Yes,
never
it's
seen
true.
them come down, no matter how many times I ring or write or send photos, come down and say, yeah, sure, riverbank is falling in, we need to do something.
They probably live in Barraville or Port
Well,
Macquarie.
that's not good enough though,
It's not
is
good
it?
enough,
We
okay,
need
that's
local
right.
people to come down to fix local problems, surely.
And like you say, 2015, we should not be in that situation.
Okay, so you've got a pretty tough problem here.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you guys doing about it? Because this is not happening for you. What have you put in place for yourself so far?
Well, I've been a resident of Gladstone for 51 years out of 67. I was born here and reared here, and I do remember some of the big floods, and they were bigger than anything that's been experienced in the last 20 years. 2001 had potential to get bigger. 1963 I remember vividly. I remember 1950 was a little fella standing on the second floor of the Gladstone Hotel looking down, seeing the water run through the floor. I remember going out in the flood boats. Now what I remember is in those days there was no support, and this is why I am very supportive of the SES and the work they do. There are a lot of people in the community that rubbish the SES as being idiots and stupid people. They just take the truck for a drive or the boat up the river, and it's for fun. Now I don't see it like that. The other thing with the flood reference group is I think it's the community's opportunity to put something in to the SES, and we have worked on some issues as flood gauges, river gauges, and we're finally, after 3 years, I think, getting around to working out who owns which gauges.
So it's
It seems there
the
are
bomb or the council or...
there's 4 different people, 4 different groups that own those.
But I
The
think,
other thing is road closures.
you say that your first 3 years has been a process of learning the hazard inside out? It sounds to me like you've really been researching your local problems
Yeah.
and finding out who, what, where, when and why.
Yeah, well, with Steve's help, and I
With
mean,
Steve's help, that's right.
you know, we know, we're quite well aware of when we need to be prepared, when Kempsey hits that, you know, 7
We know
metres,
when the
whatever it
roads
is.
will close.
Yes, we know when the roads will
And
close,
there's
so,
not much of an opportunity when the river starts to when the river gets to the height at Kempsey that it will close the roads and isolate.
and
the
it
lower
comes very
flood.
quickly,
It comes
It
very
does.
quickly.
very quickly,
And
much
there's
quicker than
so
you
many
think.
new people in both towns that, you know,
We've got-
haven't been through a flood like most of us have.
Mm.
So yeah, that's where the community bit comes in, where we go out and try and do the flyers or go out, you know, and talk to people in the town and prepare them and things like that.
So, do you have a bit of an action plan that you've got together, or sounds like you?
I think we've put together
A little bit, haven't we?
Well,
We had an action plan after the flood forum, yeah.
Yeah.
And that involved doing the door knock that Vicky
Yep.
and I did together.
Yep,
It also involved having a business flood safe breakfast that we had, I want to say almost 60 people come along to that at the bowling club, which was a big thing. And we worked on those signs, the Lyle and Clay flood education
Yes,
signs. So there's a couple of boxes we were able to tick off, and kind of just on this maintenance mode now at the moment. Next thing will be the expansion of the group over the Belmore Riverway, getting a bit more representation down that way.
Because I think a lot of people, especially the new ones in the area, "Oh, it's not going to happen, it'll be right, it'll only be a little bit of water." They don't realise
Don't
no,
how
it's not.
fast and how deep it can come up.
I think the problem is that people that have lived here for many years say, we know better than you.
Yeah,
We know our problems, and they probably only look at the problem that's in the front of,
Their
outside
place.
their front gate.
Yep.
They don't realise that by driving their motor vehicle down the road, it can cause problems for other people.
Mm.
And
Well, we've got a family in Morton Avenue like that. In the last flood that came, it was about half an inch from their floor line at the front door, and there was all these sightseers just driving past, you know, and making waves, and with each wave as the car went past, you'd see it going
splash
over.
over the veranda.
It happens to
Actually
us.
lapping over into the house itself. And it doesn't matter how many signs you put up, or you know how much you say on the radio, please stay away from these areas. People are trying to survive and do what they can do to keep their homes dry. They don't seem to listen.
But the council say we would like the roads closed, the SES do not have the power to do that. I have been working to try to get the council to establish permanent roads closed signs that fold down like the bushfire
Yeah,
signs,
yeah.
but still there is no will to do it. The
No.
police say they cannot patrol it, they cannot handle it, they cannot do anything unless the road is actually closed and signposted. So they can't do anything. We had a fella here that has a business just down the road here in Gladstone, lives at South West Rocks. I must get to my business in Gladstone. He didn't get all the way. He rode off his BMW or whatever it was. He drives an old Suzuki Stockman now, I think.
Probably the
Yeah.
same it is.
It did, it rode him
But
off.
we brought that
You
up at
couldn't
that
tell
last
them.
meeting, didn't we, about
You
that?
can't tell them. They
Try and
just
get
seem to
involved
think.
with that.
He-
Well, you see them all the time on the news.
they can't
Somebody's
do it.
tried to go through floodwaters. They've been washed down the.
And
Just
then
don't
they've got to
listen.
go and rescue them, take,
Yeah.
you
But
know,
in the
you
beginning,
can't, they don't sink in.
in 1950, 49, 50 and 63, all of this was left, the emergency was left, the emergency controller was the policeman next door. There were people sitting on their roofs up Belmore, up Kingsland. Nobody knew they were there. There were no helicopters, they were only new in 1950. There was no, unless somebody accidentally found them or rowed a boat, there was no outboard motors. It was horrendous for those people, and they had water up to the top of their windows
Roof, yeah.
in those farms up at Kingsland.
which we don't know in future times, the way the weather is. You know,
41, 50.
1873, I think it was the last one in a 100-year flood. And I remember reading about the Agnes Irving, a boat, a coastal steamer tied up to the wharf here in Gladstone, and they evacuated people to the boat.
That's when people could get up the river. You can't get up
Yeah,
the river anymore.
you know.
But, you know, each flood's different, no matter where you go,
Exactly,
you know.
And there just seems to be that there's nobody, either side, you know, who can make that decision to say, hey, that's closed, you can't, you know what I mean, can't go here. That person will say, oh, it's not up to us. That's the SES problem. Someone there will say, oh no, that's the council problem.
They
They're
all
being
seem to
told,
shift the
roads are
time,
flooded,
roads.
people are driving. There's just no one person who can make a decision.
And then enforce that decision.
That's exactly
Yeah,
Well,
right.
they can make the decision,
But they
They
don't want
to
to.
enforce it, yeah.
Pass the buck onto someone.
And that's not good enough when you're dealing with property and people's lives. It's
And
just
I
not good
think
enough.
I had the general manager of the council come out after the 2013 flood saying that in the paper that road closures weren't necessarily the responsibility of the council.
So, you
they
know,
don't.
if I,
They
yeah,
don't.
In print.
well,
And the
Got a
other
phone
thing-
call after that very quickly, but
The other thing too, I mean, people say to me, well, why don't you lift your house? If that's a problem, why don't you lift the house? We've never had